So it's not just me that's in a bad mood. It's true. It's a nasty day, right? And so what happens then is we start to live a life in which the way that we approach the future is we hope and pray, you know? If you have a picnic plan, you hope and pray there's going to be a sunny day that day. If it's a rainy day and you haven't trained your mind, if it's a rainy day and you don't know how to live your life in the way that meditation teaches you to live your life, it'll suck. So that's what happens in life, right? You hope it's going to work out in the future, but you know you don't have any control over it, right? So is that all there is? Is that all there is? Is that the end of the story, right? If that's the end of the story, then there's a good reason why a lot of us are depressed. Or there's a good reason why a lot of us are anxious, because we're aware of the fact that we don't have any control. Not only do we not have any control, but things begin to happen in patterns. And it seems like as bad as it gets worse. It seems like the badder it gets, the more it stays bad and the worse it gets, for most of us, you know. You know, if you have a bad marriage and then you get into a second marriage and you hope and pray that one's going to work, right? And then you discover in that marriage that you made the same mistake again. The person that you thought was going to be the answer to your prayers is now the next devil, right? And if that happens 2 or 3 times and you're making lawyers rich, you know, you start to get depressed about life. You know, it starts to feel hopeless. Like, what can I do? I keep thinking I know what I'm doing, and then I find out after I behave that I'm just as stupid as I was the last time, right? So is there any way out of this? Is there any way out of this? Or you just have to do what a lot of people do, watch a lot of TV, drink a lot of alcohol, smoke some pot. It's legal now in most places, right? You know, or whatever it is, whatever your thing is, you know, whatever your thing is. You watch pornography, or, you know, you can watch TV 24/7 now, you know, and just, you know. So is that all there is? Is that what life is all about? And, you know, while we're living life that way, we're burning up a lot of energy, right? Because there's tension in the body, there's anxiety, there's apprehension about what's going to happen tomorrow, there's upset about what happened yesterday, right? And this is the predicament that we find ourselves in. And this tension in the body and this anxiety is burning up a lot of energy, right? And it's wearing out the body, you know? I saw a thing on the news the other day. Boris Becker, famous tennis player, you know, is like a world tennis player, you know, famous tennis player. I used to play tennis, so. And I saw a thing in the news today that he had been in prison in Germany for some kind of financial trouble, right? And he served 8 months in prison, right? And they had a picture of him in the paper, and I looked at it and I said, Jesus Christ, is that him? He looked like he was 80 years old, right? And he's in his 50s, right? That's what'll happen when the stress that you're under starts to wear your body out. You die younger. You look like an old man when you're in the middle of your life, right? So this is what will happen to us. That's why cancer is such a popular disease. It's killing everybody. It killed my father, it killed my mother, it killed my sister, right? And if you look around, you know, it's no accident that on the national news at 6 o'clock, right? Between the bad news, they have commercials for where you could get good care for your cancer, right? And we know now there's enough studies out that shows that there's a very, very serious link between cancer and depression and anxiety. I'm not surprised about that as a psychologist. I'm not surprised. If you're wearing your body out and you don't get enough sleep at night for your body to repair itself, which most of us don't, okay? Most of us don't ever get to deep sleep. We just get to dream sleep, and that's not deep enough for the body to repair itself. So you're wearing your body out. It doesn't get a chance to repair itself, and every day you get up and go back into the hell realm again, right? And the only thing you have to look forward to is the end of the day, or the end of the week, or the end of the year, or the end of your life. I mean, how insane can it get when people are looking forward to retirement? I'm looking forward to the end of my life. That's insane, and yet that's exactly what people do. And then when they get to the end of their life and they think, oh, now I don't have to go to work, I have nothing to do, after a couple of weeks you're saying, what the hell am I going to do? You know, this is boring, you know? And now I have time, because I'm not busy doing a job, to sit here and worry about dying. So is there a way out? Meditation begins to give us something to practice that can open up a whole new possibility for the experience we're having of living our life. And that's why I say, to me, it is the thing I'm passionate about. And it's not just meditation that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the fact that meditation is a practice that allows me to be able to use the current teachings that are available to come to understand what the hell's going on, why it is that I am the way I am, how my mind works, what's causing me to behave the way I'm behaving. Is there a way to relax this body so I'm not burning it up and wearing it out? Is there a way of seeing things more clearly so I know how to love the people in my life? Is there a way of seeing what's going on clearly so I can enjoy the experience of being alive in the world so that when my time comes to die, I can rest in peace? Is there a way? Is there a possibility? The interesting thing is, not only is there a way, but this way goes back thousands of years. It's talked about in the mystical and ancient teachings of Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, Judaism, Sufism. It's there, right? It doesn't get the attention it deserves, right? Because most people are living their life in relationship to what they believe is true and who they believe they are, and that just keeps getting passed on from generation to generation. So ignorant people give birth to and train more ignorant people who give birth and train more ignorant people. What do I mean by ignorant? The word ignorant means you're ignoring. It means you're ignoring. What are you ignoring if you're ignorant? Reality. Reality. You must be ignoring reality, because if there is a possibility that life can be what it promises to be, and it's not that way for most of us, there must be a reality that we're missing. There must be something we're ignoring here, right? So ignorance means that we're ignoring the way it is, and we're ignoring who we are. Well, you might say, a lot of people would say, well, I'm not ignoring who I am. What are you talking about? Okay, then answer the question, who are you? Right? And if you answer the question, who are you, you, like almost anybody that answers the question, will say the same thing. Oh, I'm a mother, I'm a son, I'm a woman, I'm a man, I'm this, I'm that. Oh yeah, I understand. They're the roles you're playing. But who are you? Who is the one that changes the roles? When you're with your kids, you're a mother. When you're a husband, when you're with your spouse, you're that spouse, right? When you're at work, you're in the role, you're playing that role, right? So you keep changing these roles. But who's the one behind the roles? Who's the consistent one that's playing all the different roles, right? In this class, I make reference to books that I'm reading, because these teachings, one of the benefits of living in the day we live in today is that not only are there thousands of years old teachings that tell us who we are and how to live our lives, so we can practice meditation as a way of realizing that. Not only is that the case, but we live in a very auspicious time. We live in a time when we have modern technology, modern science that's consistent with those ancient teachings. The science that exists now, quantum mechanics, says that what the Buddhists taught, what the ancient teachers taught, was true. And they didn't have the ability, the technology, to actually prove it was true. And now we do have that technology. So now we have more available to us than we ever did. You have more information available to you than any other human beings ever had on the face of the earth. The internet makes this information of this ancient wisdom teaching available to you at your fingertips, right? So this is a very big opportunity for you and I as human beings to live during these days and take advantage of these teachings and these practices. But it's not going to do it for you. You have to get involved. You have to understand the importance of taking advantage of the time we live in, of taking advantage of the possibility that is being made available by these teachings. And meditation is a practice that allows you to take the teachings that you can learn and then practice a way of realizing those teachings. What do I mean? Well, one of the teachings is that who you are is not a role. Who you are is not even a physical body. Right? And, Michael Singer, this is the latest book that I've been reading and that I think is excellent as an example of the contemporary version of these ancient teachings that makes it practical and useful and incorporates the psychology into it. This is called Living Untethered by Michael Singer. Highly recommend this book, right? And in this book, he says, there's a combination between the understanding of who you are and then a way of practicing how to live your life, that between the two things combined, right, can produce the possibility of being happy, satisfied, and relaxed in your life so that you can actually enjoy being alive instead of feeling tortured, you know? So, and the way he deals with the idea of who we really are, he makes it very simple, and I like the way he talks about it to avoid a lot of abstract thoughts and abstract concepts. He says, here's the simplest way of understanding what it means to be who you are. If I say to you, are you in there? If I say to you, are you in there, what is your answer going to be? I mean, no matter what your answer is, the answer is yes, because if you say no, who said that? Right? So the evidence speaks for itself. If I say, are you in there, something's in there, right? There's something going on. There's something in here and there's something in there, right? So let's just say that's the most direct and simple way of entering into this conversation about who you and I really are. Are you in there? Because that's a little different from saying, who are you, isn't it? If I say, who are you, then you tell me what you think, right? You tell me what your thoughts tell you you are. But if I say, are you in there, I'm pointing directly at you. I'm not saying, who do you think you are? I'm saying, what's the experience you're having of yourself as being in there? There's an awareness there, right? Now, the reason that you can't tell me who you are, and if we went through a process of my saying, who are you, and you tell me who you think you are, I could stay with you with that until you ran out of stuff to tell me. It's not hard to do, right? Well, the reason that's the case is because you can't think what you are. You can only experience what you are. It's not a concept. It's not a thought. And yet it's happening all the time. You are it. You are being what you are all the time. It's not a mystery. It's not hidden from you. The only reason it seems to be hidden from you is if you try and see it, you can't see it, right? The reason you can't see it is because you are it looking from it. How can you see? It's like trying to see your eyeball, right? You can't see your eyeball. You are it looking from it. But you can know you are it because you're being it all the time. If I say, are you in there? The you that says yes is it. And how do you know that you're the you that says yes? Because you're experiencing being here. You're aware. You're awake. You're alive, right? So that, once you have that, right, now you have something that you can begin to work with, right? Okay, there's this awareness here, or in here, right? There's awareness in here. And what else is there? There's this voice in my head. Isn't there a voice in your head? So my voice is talking to me all the time. I think it's me. I think it's me. But the thing about it that makes it troublesome and bothersome is that if that's me, I must be a terrible human being because I say terrible things about myself. That's pretty crazy, right? It's not always saying terrible things about me. A lot of times it's saying terrible things about you. Or it's saying terrible things about life, or terrible things about politicians, or terrible things about the past, or terrible things about the future, right? So if this is who I think I am, and I'm listening to that, of course I'm going to be anxious and depressed, right? Of course I'm going to be anxious and depressed because this is a conditioned voice. Now, so one of the things you get to find out if you start to realize that the you who is in here is aware of a voice in your head that's there all the time talking, right? Now, here's the reason it gets confusing. Because I can say to you, that's not really who you are, and the evidence is clear that's not who you are, because you don't know what that voice is going to say. You have to listen to it to know what you think. You can't stop it from talking, can you? You can't make it go to bed when you're ready, can you? Yeah. You can't make it stop saying terrible things, can you? Right? So the evidence is pretty clear that it's not you. Well, then why do you think it's you? Now watch. This is why there's confusion about this, right? I can tell you that, but you'll fall right back into the trap of thinking that it's you. You know why? Here's the answer. Think I want to be happy right now. Think it. Did you think it? Okay. So now you said, see, I just demonstrated that I am the voice. So the reason it's confusing is because you can make it think things using your willpower to make it think things. You can think, right? But when you're not making it thinks by itself. And that thinking that it's doing by itself is happening more than you making it think. So it's driving you crazy. And it's driving you crazy, and you're confused because you don't know the difference between the you that makes it think and the thinking it does by itself. You see? Same thing is true with the physical body. We all believe we're the physical body. The spiritual teachers tell us that's a mistake. You're not the physical body. Jesus Christ said, I promise you life everlasting. Well, how can that be true? This body's going to die. He wasn't talking about the body. He was talking about the awareness that you are that's not physical. That's what he was pointing to when he said, I offer you life everlasting. Well, why do you think you're the body? Same thing as the thought process. I think I'm the body because I can control my breath, right? You can slow your breath down. You can speed your breath up, can't you? Right? You can make the body do things, can't you? You can be aware of your heart beating, can't you? You can be aware of your stomach gurgling, can't you? You can, if you get constipated, you can force it out, can't you? Sometimes, yeah. It could go the other way too, where you can't keep it in, right? But this is the same confusion with the thought process. If there are things about my body that I can make happen and control, then I must be my body, right? But compare that to how much you have no control over in your body. Are you beating your heart? You think you can control your breath? Hold it. Hold it for 10 minutes. Show me that you can control your breath, right? So most of what's going on in your body is happening millions and millions, and even what's going on in your brain, there are 100 billion neurons going on in your brain all the time that you have nothing to do with. If it was up to you to run this system, you'd be dead right now, okay? You couldn't pay attention long enough to keep yourself alive. The same thing is true with breathing. You're not aware of your breathing. When we practice meditation, we say focus on your breath. But outside of practicing meditation, are you aware of your breathing? Most of the time, no. So you think you're your body because you think you have some control over it, but that's an illusion. You only have control over a very little bit of it, just like you only have a control over a very little bit of the thought process. See, this is very interesting. This is how God tricked you. This is how God tricked you. God gave us just enough control over thinking and our physical processes to make us believe we are the body and we're the thinker. That gets us into the world. That gets us into the world, right? So now we're in the world as a physical body and a thought process, right? But that only gets you into the world, right? But the reality of it is, if that's not actually true, you've got to wake up and discover that's not actually true. That I am not the thinker of my thoughts, even though I can cause thoughts to a certain degree. I am not my physical body, even though I can cause things to happen to a limited degree in my physical body, right? So we have to wake up and realize there's something more going on here, right? That this mind that we have, that is the control center, that is the program that's running the operation of the thoughts that are happening when you're not causing them, right? It has a program for survival to keep the body alive, right? So this thought process is a process where it records everything that's happening from the first breath you took, and anything that's happening in the world from the first breath you took that appears to threaten your survival gets recorded in the system. And any time that something comes up that's similar to that in the future, it'll play that recording. Why? Because you're still here, so whatever you did then must have worked, right? That's how the system works. It's a survival process, right? Now here's the problem. That's beautiful, that's fine for surviving the physical body, right? But we're learning that we're not just a physical body. What else are we? We are this awareness that we have come to believe is the personality that we are. The awareness is unlimited, right? But when you come into being born into the physical body, it becomes limited, and you start to believe I'm this physical body, and I am this personality. When I was a baby, before I could think, I didn't have a personality. I was just aware and experiencing everything directly and responding to it. As soon as I have language, they say to me, oh, this is your name, and look in the mirror, that's you, that body is you, right? And you don't want to get thrown out of the club, so you go along with that. And after you go along with it for a while, you forget that there was ever a time when you knew who you were, and you believe you are the body and you are the personality now. And now, because you believe you are a personality, this program to get the body to survive is getting the personality to survive too. And the personality doesn't need to survive because it doesn't exist as a physical entity, does it? No. But if it thinks it needs to survive, now watch, if it thinks it needs to survive, right, it will exchange the body to survive itself as a personality. That's called suicide. It will surrender the body to get itself as the personality to survive and escape from the experience of being in a physical body, right? Or it'll kill another physical body in order to protect itself from being hurt by the other person, right? So how does a personality continue to exist? How does a personality survive? Well, here's the way the program goes off the rails. The program is anything that happens that appears to threaten the physical body, the program will bring up and play what it did in the past because the body is still here, so it must have worked, right? So how about the personality? Anything that happens now that threatens the personality, it'll bring up what it did in the past to survive as a personality. Well, how does a personality survive? It survives by being right and making other people wrong. It survives because it considers itself to be a point of view, doesn't it? Yeah, it considers itself to be a point of view. It considers itself to be a set of beliefs. And whenever that point of view is threatened or those beliefs are threatened, it experiences that it's threatened just like it's going to die. And then it will pull up all of what happened in the past when it survived situations where it felt that way, and it'll run that program. Now, that program has actually nothing to do with survival, right? So you keep acting like somebody's chasing you with a knife. You keep acting, somebody insults you, you feel like they're trying to kill you, right? Look at the world. Isn't this how human behavior occurs? Isn't this why people kill each other over points of view? Isn't that the craziest thing? You know, animals don't do it. Nature doesn't do it. It takes us, the most sophisticated creature on the planet, that has the ability to create unbelievable technology, right? That has all that going for it. It takes us to act with such stupidity and ignorance and insanity that we kill each other. We kill each other over a point of view. That's total insanity. And it's not changing. It's not changing, right? It keeps getting passed on from one generation to the next. So, coming back to where I started, meditation is a practice. The practice of meditation can be used to train yourself to use certain methods to pay attention to what's going on in the system that doesn't work, so you can stop continuing to do what doesn't work and start to learn how to be human. Start to learn how to live a life that works. Stop listening to the reactive mind. Stop listening to the thinking and the emotions, because a lot of the time they're not realistic. It's not realistic. It's not realistic because, now look at this in relationship to the people that you love the most. Is it realistic to turn on the people that you love the most, that you live your life with, that you have interdependence with, because they said something that upsets you? And spend the next 10 years not talking to them? Right? Or worse than that, I think of, who was that guy, that famous singer, that he wrote the song, What's Going On? You know who I'm talking about? Marvin Gaye. Marvin Gaye. Perfect example. You know how Marvin Gaye died? His father killed him. You know what he killed him over? Money. Yeah. Father killed him over money. Talk about how lost you can get being identified with a point of view that you'd kill your own son over money. And this is after Marvin Gaye wrote the song, What's Going On? Listen to the song. It's almost as if he foresaw his own future. Because when he wrote that song, the words of the song is saying, what's going on? What are we doing? Why are we doing this to one another? And then his own father kills him. Right? That's the kind of tragedy that we're living our lives with. And there's all kinds of murders. You don't have to kill the body of somebody that you're related to. You can just kill the relationship. Same thing. Same thing. So this is what's possible. That's why I'm passionate about meditation, and I'm passionate about these teachings. And if you practice meditation and you learn to develop the method of staying awake, the method of paying attention, so that you can use that attention to watch what's happening in your conditioned mind, to watch what's happening in terms of how the voice in your head is not necessarily your friend all the time, To watch how your emotions will drive you crazy and make you act bizarre. So that by watching it, you can stop following it. This is what Michael Singer meant when he said living untethered. What are you tethered to? You're tethered to this maniac process. You're tethered to your emotions, right? So he's saying living untethered. Can you detach yourself from this process that's not functional? Can you detach yourself from living your life based on your emotions? Can you learn to see what's actually going on so you can come out of the dark? So you can start living a sane life. So you can start living a life that you will end up being satisfied and happy. So when the time comes for you to die, you can let go and be satisfied. That you were here, you experienced your life, you were happy, you weren't crazy like the rest of the world, right? That's a successful life, right? So that's what's possible. Meditation is a practice that allows you to do the work necessary to stay awake and have a life that works.
In the talk from Ithaca Zen Center last night, the teacher mentioned about eating, particularly eating ice cream. A student had a question about eating ice cream.
Wow.
He said, when you have a bite of ice cream, spend 45 minutes eating that one bite of ice cream and notice everything about it, the texture, the taste, the feeling of it, the cold, the hot, whatever it is. Right. It sounded to me like mindfulness, mindful eating.
Yeah.
So by using your senses and taking that long a time to eat one spoon of ice cream, is that using your senses to get in touch with your awareness?
Well, you don't have to get in touch with your awareness, or you can't get in touch with your awareness, because the you that could get in touch with your awareness is your awareness masquerading as you. So the thing about it is, and the reason that he's saying that, because this is, he's repeated that a lot of different times in his talks, right? And that's common in the teachings that he's referring to, right? What is he saying? The awareness that is your true nature is here all the time, waiting for you to notice that it's here. But you're busy thinking, right? You're busy thinking all the time. So you don't never stop and look to see, well, what's doing the thinking? What's aware of the thinking, right? So what he's saying is, most people when they eat, they don't eat, they gobble.
Right.
And they're eating to escape from what's going on, or they're smoking a cigarette to escape from what's going on. So he's saying, slow down. If you slow down enough and pay close enough attention, call it mindfulness, right? That you're actually available to enjoy the experience, your awareness might show up.
I guess the question is, who's enjoying the experience? Is it the person, or is it awareness, or both?
Neither. Now, what I mean by that is that, this is non-duality and duality, right? The person is the awareness. You are still who you were when you were a baby before you learned to be a person. You're still that. But now that went into the background because you're busy being the person. You think that's what you really are. But if you slow down enough, another thing that he shared was that a Zen monk used to take a sesame seed and put it on his tongue and keep it there and let it melt for an hour. One sesame seed, right? Why? Because basically what he's saying is that instead of thinking about eating the sesame seed, right, and judging whether I like it, I don't like it, it's good or it's bad, how fast I'm eating, instead of all that, the way people eat, right, he's saying no. Let the awareness catch up. Let the awareness notice the experience. And if you let the awareness notice the experience, the awareness will show up. It'll show up. Instead of ignoring it, you see, that's ignorance. Instead of ignoring the awareness, no, you're slowing down enough that the awareness can actually be present, can actually presence itself. The same thing with life. If you practice meditation, you're going to practice paying attention to what's going on in the world more than paying attention to what you think about it or how you feel about it, right? And by doing that, paying attention and not allowing the thoughts or the feelings to determine the experience, right? The awareness might actually show up. You may actually end up experiencing what's happening instead of what you think about it. You may end up experiencing the actual taste of the ice cream instead of whether you like it or not, or whether you're using it to escape from how you feel. You see?
Could you say that your senses are a gateway to awareness?
Absolutely. They are. In Vipassana meditation, that's the technique of Vipassana meditation. They train you to become aware of the sensations that you're experiencing, right? That's the first part. So the first part is to relax the body, to develop your ability to pay attention, and then start practicing being aware of the sensations you're experiencing, what's coming in through the senses, right? And then the final part of the Vipassana practice is to be aware of it and apply equanimity, meaning that no matter what's coming through the senses, you experience it all in the same way. That's the way the awareness is. It's experiencing everything in the same way, right? The mind and the thinking and the feelings take it and dissect it into, do I like it? Do I not like it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it right or wrong? Do I want it? Do I not want it? Right? No. But you're training yourself to be like the awareness, which is, it's aware of the thinking doing that, but the bottom line is everything that's coming to the awareness comes through the awareness in the very same way. It's the same thing as Michael Singer says when he says, when you're awake and you practice being awake, all the experiences of life come to you and through you instead of coming to you and hit your conditioning and get blocked. Capiche?